All right, let's get going. So we're talking about psychology today, one of our favorite topics. This is the fourth installment in our 3LT Playbook, Three Laws of Trading webinar series. This is number 4. I am Charlie Bathgate. I'm managing partner of saying Lucci and Wall Street Jesus, and I'm joined by a man who needs no introduction, saying Lucci himself. Say hello to everybody, Luch.
What's going on? What's going on?
All right. So what we're talking about today, this is the second webinar on the third law of our 3 laws of trading playbook. And what we're talking about today and that law is master your mind, right? It's all about psychology. So what we're talking about today is what really motivates you, what really motivates traders to trade. And we put out a tweet earlier today that really kind of touched on a nerve when we were talking about how every trader, if you ask them why they trade, they'll say freedom, right? That's the first thing that everybody says. They want to trade for their freedom, financial freedom, freedom over their time, stuff like that. And we're not going to sit here and tell you that that's wrong or that that's not accurate, but it goes a lot deeper than that. And we're going to talk about what happens when you start probing deeper into that and how that can help your trading when you understand really what's motivating you. So we're going to get into that in a second. I'm going to give a quick, when I can figure out how to share my screen, I'm going to give a quick plug for the Saying Lucci Master Course, which is starting up next week. Sorry, not next week, the week after that. It is starting off May 4th, right? We pushed the start date back. There's a number of circumstances going on in our end that made it so that instead of starting it on April 27th, doing it on May 4th. But that gives all you slackers out there another week to make a decision about whether or not you want to join. This is our flagship educational experience. You are learning, as you can see, tape reading, flow trading, options, and trading psychology from primarily Lucci, but we're also bringing in a lot of our some of the best traders that we know in our community and personal friends of ours, Ron Friedman, Chris Cady. You can see the webinars from them in this series on our YouTube channel. You learn directly from Wall Street Jesus as well. So check it out, guys. If you want to learn more about it, you can go to sayinglucci.com/MC. That will take you directly to this page, or you can just go to 3LTplaybook.com/SL-master-course. And we are offering a discount, $500 off up until the start date on May 4th. We had said that we weren't going to do any discounts, but we got pretty much inundated by requests for people from people who were being affected by coronavirus in some way. So instead of doing everything on a sort of one-off case-by-case basis, we just said, let's open it up to everybody. So we also introduced an 8-month payment plan. 8-month payment plan. So if you do decide that you want to go through the payment plan, do that option, all you have to do is go to sign up. You have that option to check out, and you can avail yourself of that option. So, all right, enough of that. Let's get into what we're talking about today. We are talking about what really drives people to trade, what really drives people, the motivating forces behind trades, and especially when you're pulling the trigger in the moment. And one of the ways when we were doing prep around this and doing some looking back at previous conversations we've had with some of the top level traders that we know, you can think of it as, we're social animals. Humans are social animals. We're always comparing ourselves to others in a social context, putting ourselves into a social context. And that can take the form of us playing essentially different games, right? We're all out there trying to win a certain game. And for some people, that game is, these games take different forms. So for some people, those games are power or dominance, right? You're trying to win. You're trying to be the most powerful person in your environment, in your social circle. For some people, the game that you're trying to win is the respect game, right? You're trying to get respect from someone specific in your life. Often it's someone in your family or a parent figure, but it can be professionally as well. We play the belonging game. We want to feel like we're a part of a community, of a a tribe. So that's the game that we're trying to play. And you can think about the money you make as in your trading sort of victories as points on the board in the game that you're playing. And that's the degree to which traders don't really delve into what is really the game that they're playing, what's really motivating them to do what they do, is pretty staggering, especially amongst earlier, younger traders and traders that are earlier in their career. So, Luch, let's start out, talk a little bit about kind of your journey and understanding the motivating forces for you in your trading, like why your journey of understanding why you do what you do.
Yeah. When Charlie says games, it's a nice way of putting it. To me, I call it lying. And we lie to ourselves all the time about what we believe at that moment. I mean, and then you're crossing a line of what is a lie and then what is a belief. If a belief is untrue at the moment, does it make it a lie? Does it make it something that you're and who's to say it's even a lie if it's something that you truly believe in? So I guess what I'm trying to get at is when I started out, I said it was for the freedom. I mean, I told myself it was for the freedom, but I didn't understand what that freedom was. In my knowledge at the time, I didn't understand what the freedom was. I just looked at it as freedom from the 9 to 5, That was it. That's how I looked at it, as freedom from the 9 to 5. But in reality, what I really wanted was the money. I wanted the credit from my father. I wanted I wanted the glory of setting everybody else free. I wanted I wanted that kind of vibe or something like that. You know what I mean? I wanted to be that guy, more or less. And that's truly why it was initially in the beginning. And then you start to realize, well, am I really free here if I'm working 16 hours a day and I do nothing? Am I really free when I wake up and all I do is look at the fucking futures? Am I really free when I look at Zoom up 20 points and I feel like a motherfucking jackass for missing it? Am I really free? What is that freedom that you tell yourself you want? And like you said, it's the constant searching of a game that you're trying to achieve, and it might change. It changes all the time. And you might also realize that the game you were searching after was the wrong game. It was the wrong game all along. And then you have to feed yourself a new game, a new belief, a new lie, to me, that keeps you going, that motivates you to go to the next place and the next place and the next place. So I don't have a great answer for you, Charlie. I really don't have a good answer for you. And I think the answer is more in the experience. We used to tell everybody, and by the way, that's easy to sell, right? It's easy to sell that you can be free from your 9 to 5 because people want that. People want that, right? So if you and I just went out there and said, hey, you can be free from your 9 to 5 by becoming a trader. And that's why everybody comes into the room and everybody does this. So that's it is what it is, right? And then I'm sitting over here with a 10-year, 12-year track record and being like, yeah, you're going to fall straight on your motherfucking ass, man. I'll just give you about a year and then you'll come back and tell me, yeah, shit, you were right, So
right.
It's a tough place to navigate, man. And I can't sit up here and say that it's one thing or the other. You know what I mean? Whatever you're trying to escape, or maybe whatever problem you're trying to solve, that's what you're going to be motivated by. So if your problem right now is financial, you're going to find a way to create a story, to create a game in which if you're victorious in said game, you have the money to solve those problems, right? And then when you do solve those problems, it on goes the next game and the next game and the next game and the next game. So that's currently where I'm at in terms of why I trade and I guess my history of telling myself these lies and telling myself these stories of what to chase after.
Right. Yeah. And this is multi-layered, complicated stuff. It's one of those situations where it's not an either or, it's everything, right? It's a lot of things at once. You're just sitting there talking about, as you were talking, I was thinking about my dad and the games that he used to the things that used to really motivate him. And
Yeah.
some of the people in here, Lucci knows, my dad super well in his story. He was a trader. He grew up in Baltimore, really, tough neighborhood, had nothing growing up. And so he was like, I'm going to go make money, right? I'm going to go trade and make money. And he did that, started out in the 70s and the 80s. And he was, pretty successful for a stretch, but it didn't scratch the itch that he thought it would scratch. And I used to talk to him about his trades because he would put on wild risk when I was a kid. I'd be in his office like, 10 years old, all the way up. And one of the things that used to trigger him to take on too much risk was when there was someone in our family, like let's say a cousin or something, because my dad was the one who always helped people pay for education. He didn't have access to it. Mm-hmm. So if a cousin or someone that we knew, had some sort of story about financial hardship and he couldn't help out with that, he would go into the market and try and solve that feeling of not being empowered enough, not having enough money to solve other people's problems. He would go try and solve that problem in the market. That was the game that he was playing, right?
Yo, chime out right now. Right now, if this is you try to solve a problem that you're having monetarily through the market, and that causes you to take on more risk. I have done that so many times. I can't even, I feel like if I could recant those stories, it would make for the greatest Netflix series on the history of the planet, Every Trader.
Because hey man, we got time.
It's life that happens to you. Life happens to you, and then you reassess the game that you're sitting there playing, the stories that you sell yourself, you reassess them, you create a new story that you're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do X, Y, and Z and solve this other problem, And that's what we do. This is what we do. Life is going to hit you. Life is going to happen to you. It could happen in so many different ways. I've been in situations where I wanted to solve business problems with the money that I made from trading. So if I had a business idea and I was like, yo, I really need to put some money to work here. All right, let's go to the market, derive what we need. Let's take what we need so we can fund this new project. Now, there's so many things that could happen to you when you decide to come to the market with those particular goals and you're motivated by those particular goals, man. So I love that you brought up the story of your father, man. I know Charlie's father, and the man was insane, bro, when he was a kid. I mean, it's like us times 10, man. You know what I mean? And imagine you're in fraction pricing. There's no regulations anywhere. It's a lawless world. And this man was gunslinging fucking options way back in the day. The stories this man had is crazy. Crazy.
Yeah. And yeah, he was taking out loans on his credit card because he had no money, and then he was trading naked options with that money. I mean, just like insane risk. But obviously, he found a way to make it work for him to a certain degree. So I think one of the things that we want to call your attention to, and sorry guys, there's a street sweeper outside, so if this is loud, not much I can do about this. But one of the things we want to call your attention to is the subtlety of the levels that this works on, right? So let's say your thing is getting respect from your spouse. Let's say this is something a lot of traders struggle with. Their spouse doesn't understand why they're trading, why they're so called to it, why they're so obsessed with it. And there's a lot of risk involved with trading, right? So there's a lot of spouses who are skeptical as to, should you be doing this? Is this good use of your time or whatever? And you have a narrative in your head built up where you're like, if I can hit a certain number, if I can hit whatever it is, 50 grand, 100 grand, 25, if I can even just be positive for 2 months in a row, then I will get the validation from my spouse that I'm seeking, right? So you're going to bed at night. You say your spouse had a great day trading, made $1,000, and he or she just kind of shrugs her shoulders and is like, hey, that's nice. And that's not the reaction that you want, right? That doesn't help you. You didn't win the game that you wanted to win. So you wake up the next morning and you are that much closer to making an emotional decision because you're going out there trying to win that game and you're not listening to what the market is dictating to you, right? So we're not saying that this is all we're saying that this works on a really subtle level.
Yeah, very subtle.
Yeah. And I'm curious, you know, if you guys have experiences like this, if you can kind of probe back in the last month or so, especially in the last month, where things have been so stressful, where people are on top of one another with their families, you know, at times. If you guys have stories like this, share them in the chat. You know,
I've felt, you know, let's say I lost something in real life, something very subtle, just like what you're talking about. You know, you didn't get the credit from the person that you wanted, or, you know, let's say for me, I was going through like a breakup or something like that, or there was some form of denial that happened in the real world, you know, where it could have been anything. It really could have been anything, from parents, from business, from this or that, some kind of a loss, right? And then in your head, immediately you're like, okay, how can I feel better about myself, right? And then we go down the tunnel of the things that we do to feel better about ourselves when we're feeling miserable. That could be food. That could be, you know, watching Netflix for 4 hours straight. It could be anything, you know, whatever it is. For most traders, unfortunately, it's let's go gunslinging here in the market here and see if we can feel better about ourselves because we're a little bit richer, or, you know, we have a little bit more money and we can slap somebody else in the face with that. You know, so the subtle things and what Charlie is talking about, oftentimes you never even think about. You don't even understand they're happening until they happen enough times where you look back at, let's say, a year, 2 years, or 3 years of trading, and you tell yourself, like, wow, I know what happened when I went on that freaking losing streak. I know what was the start of it when I freaking, you know, got crushed that month. Or I know what was the start of it when I was up all this money and I lost it all. I know what subtle thing I was motivated by at that moment that set off a trigger. It set off a domino effect. And boom, you freaking collapsed, and you couldn't make the decisions that you needed to make in the heat of the moment because you were motivated by this little subtle fucking thing where you don't want to admit it because you don't want to give it power, right? At the same time, most people, you don't want to give it power and say, you know, it wasn't because of that. It wasn't because of that, but it is. It fucking is that little subtle thing. Who are you trying to prove to, and what are you out here doing, man? So it's a great point here. It's very subtle, and it's hard to sit there and look at it like that. You know, you're going to miss it quite a bit, but it's there, man.
It's there. It's there. Yeah. And it is hard. I mean, generating the self-awareness to notice this stuff about yourself, whether in trading or, you know, this stuff feeds into our personal lives, right? How we interact with people, you know, strangers, whatever, what we're looking to get out of conversations. So generating the self-awareness around this is the challenge. It is difficult. It's not easy. And we're going to talk about some of the ways to do that in a second, but it's the work that needs to be done. And I can't tell you, which I'm trying to think of anybody. I mean, we've worked with some fully automated traders who don't really have to deal with the psychological side of things as much, but I'm trying to think of a high level trader that we've ever worked with that wasn't thinking about their behavior and their motivations and their own psychology on this level. Like, I remember, you know, I'm obsessed with psychology. I remember sitting down with a lot of the guys that we like, really good options traders in Chicago. These are people who are not out there on, you know, publicly available in any capacity. Yeah. And talking to them, and I was like, it sounds like you've been through 25 years of therapy because you are so like aware of your relationship to your family and your relationship with your father, right? These things that drive us all.
I mean, you know, not to cut you off, but I speak to those traders all the time, and that's exactly what they have uniquely within themselves that nobody else has. You know, in Puerto Rico, there lives every fucking trader that is not on Twitter, that is not on fucking whatever, and is sitting on $40 million and is still as stressed out as the next guy who's got 40 grand in his fucking pocket. But these are guys who have gotten to a level where they know shit about themselves. that you can't even fuck with, that they don't even allow shit in their sphere of it. They don't allow any vibes in their environment that they cannot control. You know what I mean? And that's how they rock, man. And that's how they rock. And you look at these guys and you're like, Jesus, how come you're not on this, doing this, and da 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 da? These guys are just regular freaking dudes, man. They've just been able to turn it to another level because uniquely they know themselves more and more and more and more. And it's something that you can only do after time. I am happy to say at this moment in time, after the 12 years I've been doing this shit, I've solved every fucking financial problem I could ever have with money from trading. Okay, great. You guys are going to hit this level, and then it becomes about other problems. And then it just keeps going, right? So you can add on as many problems as you want. They're there. They exist. Every time you get to another level, there's going to be more problems. It's whether you choose to deal with those things or not, and whether you want those things, that's another story. The only reason I was able to get here is because of the constant analysis, the constant awareness. Like, why did this happen? What was the thing that set into motion all of these losses? Where were you at? Where was your head at? Who were you thinking about? What were you thinking about? What were you motivated by? Why did you push this button? Why did you react this way? Why were you angry when you talked to that person? Why were you fucking sad all of a sudden? That made you go, if I call all of a sudden catch myself eating shitty food and wanting Burger King or wanting this, something's fucking wrong. Something's wrong. There's something wrong. If I want to pull up to a damn Taco Bell drive-thru, something's fucking wrong, man. Something's wrong. I mean, I love the shit. Don't get me wrong, but there's a reason why I love the shit, right? You love it because it's an attachment to, just feeling okay with yourself after fucking something horrible happened. There's a reason why I want those things. And then I look at that and it's like, ding, 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 you fucked up. Where did all this start? You know what I mean? So it's only that process that comes with time. And, we can't teach it. We talk to you about this stuff because this is my world, with Charlie. There's ways we're going to try to find to deliver this information to you guys better and better. So you start incorporating it into your own trading and into your own lives, but you guys got to go through it, man. You guys got to go through it. I had to go through it. And all these guys that Charlie's talking about, all these guys had to go through it too.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to go through it. It's going to drive your trading one way or another. It's either going to do it from the recesses of your mind and just keep on causing you to make decisions that lead you frustrated and exhausted, or you can bring it out into the open. You can air it out. You can, try and understand this shit. One way or another, this is what's making you make decisions. So.
Yeah, the ones that fail are the ones that don't want to look at those things, that do not want to look at those things for what they are and how they work and how they tick and all that kind of stuff. The ones that fail, because this is a struggle, no matter what, this is a struggle. You can either enjoy it somehow or you're going to feel miserable. And the ones that feel miserable about it, they're not going to do the mental work. They're not going to do the mental work. They're not going to think about where they were. They're not going to think about the environment that they've created around them. They're not going to think about bad energy that comes their way from friends that fucking suck and eat shit off of them, or girlfriends that they don't need, or boyfriends that are taking advantage of them, or whatever it is. The people that are going to quit are always going to be those fucking people. They're always going to be those people. And again, I'm not saying it as, oh, you're those people. It's a hard thing to do, man. It's a hard thing to take a look at yourself in the mirror every day and be okay with the freaking lies and the games that you're selling yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do.
And there's another thing that when you start talking to people about this stuff all the time, which we do, that you realize like the stigma just gets taken away from it so much because everybody does it. And everybody thinks they're unique. Everyone thinks they're unique and that they have some shit from their childhood and the recesses of their mind that's causing them to do shit. And then all of a sudden they start having these conversations and they're like, everybody else is doing the same shit. Nobody is special. Yeah.
I think we're all everybody's going to have a big realization within the next couple of years or 10 years or whatever. And we're going to realize that even as unique as we think our thoughts are, I think in the next decade, we're going to realize like our behaviors, our emotions or whatever, they're shared among everybody. And the real game is going to be, okay, now that we know, now that we accept the whole world has this same shit, you know, you're not over there thinking you're freaking unique. Everybody's saying the same shit on Instagram, pulling the same damn quotes out their ass. You know, it's going to be interesting what people decide to create socially once they all realize like, oh man, yeah, you are the same. You have the same issues that I have. You have the same mental defects that I have. Maybe they're crafted in a different way or whatever, but yeah, it's the same shit.
Right. Yeah. So we're gonna try and give some like if you know, let's say theoretically you're like, all right, I get it, I buy into this. So how do I start like generating more self-awareness around this? Right. We're gonna try and give a couple tools you guys can use. You know, one thing I don't really think it's talked about that much, but going back to this idea of you know, spouses or someone in your family like really kind of not understanding trading. You know, you're not gonna be able to sit down and talk to them about like why Netflix, you know, made a certain move on Friday, you know, at the close, right? They're just not really gonna get that. But what you can do is you can talk to them about how your personal life is intersecting with your trading, right? Because they understand you, they understand your personal life. So you can kind of use this as a medium to bring in, you know, a person in your life who you want to talk to this stuff about, and use that as a vehicle to understand a little bit more about yourself. You want to externalize, you want to vocalize this stuff that is in your mind. So if you have you know, if you have a day where you felt like things were particularly emotionally charged and you're trying to unpack why, you know, what was going on, what was happening, you can just talk to someone who is a non-trader about what was happening for you, and they will be able to understand, you know, emotional ups and downs terminology. You know, that's something you guys can avail yourselves of. I don't know how, I mean, you don't really talk about trading with family and stuff like that, right?
With family, no, but Spencer, who is always around me all the time, you know what I mean? Like he's always kind of, you know, he's always there, you know what I'm saying? So Spencer, I can throw some shit off of, and he's just like, you know, Nathan, when I was trading next to him, Nathan Michaud, when I was trading next to him in the Boston office, you know, it was always great, man. It was always great. It's that subtle vibe of a trader sitting next to another trader that understands like, yo, you know, I know you're taking a fucking bad one here. Come on, man. Let's try to get you out of it. You know what I mean? It's literally, and it's different for everybody. You know what I mean? So again, if you guys are looking for the turnkey freaking, you know, pop the key in and turn it and bam, you know, there you are. It is going to be different for everybody because you guys have different motivations. Let me give you an example, right? I fucking lost a bad 450 grand one day this month. This happened, right? This was last week even. This was last week. And a week prior to that, I had made like 300, 350. You know, I was on a tear this month, right? Up 400 for the month. And then all of a sudden, I get stuck. And I thought I could work my way out of it. And I was doing what I needed to do to hedge or whatever. And there was one more day of freaking rallying. It was Shopify. And I lost it, bro. I lost it. I had no control over what I was doing. I was looking at a loss that I couldn't control anymore. And then I was looking at a market where it's like, I could do this, and this. I froze, bro. I froze. And I let it go all the way against me. I was probably down like 600,000. I ended up cutting it down to maybe 400, 450, 460. And the next day after that, I lost 80,000. The day after that, I lost another 80,000. Finally, it was just like, all right, what are you doing here, bro? What are you doing? What the fuck are you, what is it that is motivating you? Obviously, you want to make back all these losses, right? Obviously, you want to get back to where you were. And in my head, I was like, all I got to do is catch the top of this fucking thing, and I'm in there, bro. I'll make it back and then some. In my head, I was telling myself stories on how I was going to make $1 million, and that the 400,000 I lost, I'd be back up to $500,000 plus another 500 on top, baby, and the whole world would bow down at my motherfucking feet. That's the story I was telling myself, and I'm recanting it right now because I'm remembering it. Right? And then I realized how fucking stupid of a plan that is. And I start understanding and remembering my motivation for doing this. I start realizing like, okay, you lost all this money, but this is where you are right now, right? So I take an assessment of my life and I prove again to myself that, hey, I'm okay here. Okay? My bills are paid. I got plenty of money here to make this shit back. It's not a fucking big deal. It's all good, right? In the next 2 days here, I'll be able to make 200 and change back. So it wasn't the money that I lost. It was me that I lost. It was me. I lost myself in that moment. And the consequences of losing myself in that moment happened to be $450,000. It happened to be the cost of 450 grand. For you guys, it might cost you a car. It might cost you a girlfriend. It might cost you whatever else in life. When you lose yourself in that moment, there's going to be a cost to it. In trading, the cost happens to be a fucking loss, right? So what I had to do was, again, go back. I talked to my girlfriend, you know, tell her what happened, of course. And she understands the ups and downs that I go through no matter what. And she'll always just push me to be like, dude, it doesn't matter. It's just fucking money. It doesn't matter. It's just money, you know? And she's right. And although you don't want to sit there and believe it, you don't want to sit there and look at it, because all you can look at is the fact that you're down, whatever the hell you're down. You know, once you step out of that world where that's what you're motivated by, boom, the market comes back, you're reading it properly, and, you know, you're making some money back. It's just what it is. So, you know, that's kind of my process. However, it's been faster, you know, every single year that this happens, it's been faster that I come back and I'm okay. Because the year that it started, the 2 years that I started after, even when we were in New York, when I go down like that, I go down and I go down and I go down for a long, 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 long time. And I'm at this place now where I can catch myself now. I can catch myself. I was aware then, but I didn't want to do shit about it. I didn't want to do anything about it. I just wanted to wallow in the fucking misery and take everybody down with me because it was everybody else's fault, or I wanted to throw it on everybody else, or whatever the case is. Who knows? But now I'm at the point where I can look at myself and be like, all right, dude, calm the fuck down. You know what you're doing here. Yeah, you'd be all right. You'd be all right.
Yeah.
And that's how I was able to swing back out of it. And, you know, even after losing 600 grand in like a week, I'm flat on the month. You know what I mean? And if I'm flat on the month, I'm good, baby. What's the fucking problem? What's the problem? There'll be another $1 million trade around the corner. There'll be another, who cares? Who fucking cares? But that's where I'm at. That's the game, and that's the shit I'm telling myself. Where are you, and what are you telling yourself?
Well said. Yeah, dude, the bounce back rate for you is wild to see. It's wild. Yeah. And I can attest to,
that's only because luckily, like, I have Charlie, I have all my guys around me, I have my girl, I created a world around myself that understands this is going to happen. This is a reality of the situation. You know what I mean? This is a fucking real reality. How do I save myself before I take myself down completely and take myself down and out? I created that world because I needed to focus on that world. You're only going to start creating that world around you when you feel the need to, AKA you've felt enough pain and it's time to start figuring out, hey, maybe I'm not good at this. Maybe I'm not good at this. Maybe I'm not good at this. Maybe I get triggered by this. Maybe, you know, blah, blah, blah. Or whatever it is that needs to change, or whatever it is in your life that needs to go, you start creating that world. And when you start creating that world, that's when the real shit happens. That's when the shit where you can build over years starts happening. You know, you're not just some guy who was able to make money in 6 months or a year, and then all of a sudden you fucking lost it all and you gave up.
Yeah. I mean, you're, from an outsider, you know, I'm not you, but sitting in a whatever metaphorical seat next to you.
You've watched me trade for a long time, bro. You've watched me trade for a long time.
I feel like so much of what has made it so that you can accelerate your bounce back rate. I mean, it like back in the loft days, if you took a loss like that, it could have been 2 months. It could have been 3 months, you know, of you being like, you know, revenge trading, whatever. Now you're talking about a span of a couple of days on top of all the other fucking stress that is going on in the world right now. And I feel like you are just you've gotten so much better at stepping back and recognizing that narrative, or that whatever, that like drive, that motivation of whatever, it's proving yourself to other people, whatever it is, and just being like, this is not happening, right?
Yep, it's controlling. Another thing that we'll throw out there for you guys to help you guys. And again, you're either ready to hear this or you're not. You're either ready to hear this or you're not. It's controlling your wants and controlling a lot of the desires that you believe can be solved through trading. So we get people in our psychology chat room every single day talking about the same shit. When I size up, I get this issue. When I take a big loss, I get this issue. When I, when I go on a big win, I fucking lose everything. I have this issue, that issue. All of that stuff has nothing to do with your P&L, man. It has nothing to do with your P&L. It has to do about where you are and what you're motivated by. And most of the time, unfortunately, we are motivated by wants and desires in that heat of the moment. And that makes us make some of these funky ass decisions in the heat of the moment, where we have to look back on these moments and be like, what the fuck really happened there? You know, I saw the tape, I saw the chart, I saw the VWAP or whatever the hell it was. How come I didn't move? And in those instances, you got to go back to all those wants and all those desires, because again, most of you guys want them shits right now. Everybody wants the solution right fucking now. And you're either going to want to hear this or you're not going to want to hear this, you know? So try to start controlling, try to take a assessment, even write them shits down. What do you want out of trading? Is it a car? Is it so your girlfriend or your boyfriend will respect you and will think that you're bringing something to the table? Do you want the glory of solving your family's issues or buying your pops out of retirement or something like that? Do you want, do you want a bigger house? Do you want this? What do you want? And when you look at those things and you write all them shits down, you'll be like, yeah, this one's fucking me up right now. This one right here is fucking me up right now. This is the one that I really want short term or whatever, and it's making me do dumb shit. It's making me look like an asshole out here. This shit's got to go. This shit's got to go. Write all them shits down and then start taking a real assessment of what actually matters. Unfortunately, when I started the game, you have no idea what matters. Man, come on, man. You're 21, you're 23, you're starting out. You see other people making money. So you start to think, okay, maybe I can make this 100 grand right here, and boom, I can make my job go away, or I can make my ex-wife stop friggin', climbing up my ass for alimony or whatever the hell you got going on. Write all those things down and see which one is pressing you the most, is putting the most pressure on you. You start there, and you'll start to realize, like, damn, I'm making all these decisions out here because of this one fucking thing, because of this one thing right here. And that'll push you, that'll get you started. That'll get you started.
So one of the things that we did in this 3LT playbook, we added in a bonus section specifically about this. If you guys go through the playbook, 3LTplaybook.com, we gave you some trading journal prompts so you can get it for free. It's a Google sheet, you just clone it. And a lot of these questions that we give you guys are exactly about what Lucci and I are talking about right now. Like, how do you check yourself in the morning after the trading day, assessing what's going on in my personal life that could be triggering me in those pressure points, those like points of weakness that I have that are going to make me make decisions from an emotional place. What's going to make me try and feel big when I feel small, make me feel powerful when I feel weak, make me feel respected when I feel disrespected, right? Like, these are, when you can start probing into this territory, that's when you can really elevate your game to the next level. I mean, the number one thing everybody says to us in the master course, when we start, we do an intake and we say, what are the things that you want to change in your trading? What are your goals? They either say tape reading. I want to learn tape reading and options, which is great. You have to learn the tactical side of things. You have to learn how the market works, how to trade. Everybody, without fail, says either number one or number two, I want to learn how to control my emotions and stop my emotions from dictating my trading, right?
Right.
This is where this starts. This is the work that you guys got to be looking at, that you got to do.
Right. right. If you don't mind, Charlie, I would love to do just a little experiment here, because there's a gentleman here named John Paul who is saying some of his motivations here is saying looking for trading income to purchase apartment units, 100 units to 150 units, so that can create the passive income without having to deal with the day-to-day grind. Now, a lot of you guys are going to have goals like this, okay? But it's my job and Charlie's job to punch all the motherfucking holes in these theories, right? How much money is it going to cost you for 100 units and 150 units per apartment? We're talking about America here. Or maybe we're talking about some other country, but every place is fucking gentrified out the wazoo here. So for 100 units and 150 units, you gotta have a lot of fucking money. And you wanna build trading income for 100 damn units and 150 units. By the time you make enough money to spend for these damn apartment units that you believe you can create all this passive income, you already have the money. You don't need the damn apartments. What do you want? People have this idea and they believe whatever they believe, and this is the story that they tell themselves, right? I want 100 units, so that passive income, and I don't have to do shit. Guess what? Guess what, my friend? Let's say you even have 20 of these units. You're going to solve all your financial problems. You're going to have all of that stuff, passive income done, right? Now you're fucking free, right? What are you going to do with your fucking time, man? What are you going to do with your time, man? You have no idea. All the time that you're spending right now is figuring out how to get the fucking trading income so you can add 1 unit, 1 unit, 1 unit, 1 unit, 1 unit. I'm saying that's a great plan. Okay, John Paul is saying $4.5 million building needs 850 investors. You see, he's already got the fucking numbers out. He already got all the numbers out. So boom, all I need is 850 racks, and I can buy this $4.5 million building, and that shit will set me for fucking life. Right? These are the stories we sell ourselves. I want every single one of you guys to put in the stories right now that you are selling yourself to become or where you want to be from trading and using the money that you make here from trading. Now, we don't know John Paul. We don't know him. We don't know who he is. We don't know what size trading account is. We don't know how long he's been trading. We don't know shit about him, right? But I can look at this. I can look at this plan and this goal here for himself, and I can sit here and plug in a ton of fucking holes, and I can look at where he's going to be. Let's say he solves this problem and he gets the passive income. He's going to be at the same place as I was when I solved all my financial problems. I thought I was free, and guess what? New problems will start. The whole game starts over again, and you're going to sell yourself another fucking game, and another game, and another game, and another game, okay? So every single one of you guys, hit us up. Tell us the story that you are selling yourself because you want to be, in becoming a trader. Okay.
We got it.
I want to hear more.
And Shraven dropped in here. I'm pretty sure I want to be good at trading so I can do things for my family that they think is impossible. And I want to be clear here. Like, when we talk about these games that we're playing, it doesn't mean that they're bad or that they're wrong or they're coming from 100%. A bad place. Like Shraven, you're talking about you want to help your family and do things for them. That's great. You having an awareness and asking yourself the questions of why do I want to be, what is it that's motivating me to really want to help my family? Is there pressure coming from somebody specifically? It's just because, I'm altruistic. Right. I don't want to see them suffering in any way. And then once you have that awareness, understanding like, okay, if I talk to my family on Thursday night and I go into Friday and I'm trading weeklies on expiration, I might do some things that I might not otherwise want to do. I might do some things that I regret. Like just having that awareness can help you immensely.
It's the why. It's the why does John Paul think he needs a $4.5 million building, paying him out X, Y, and Z in residuals? What does he want to accomplish with that particular goal? You might find out 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, that it wasn't the right fucking goal at all. We're asking you right now to take a harder look at what you're selling yourself. And again, just like Charlie said, we're not telling you it's a bad thing. I'm not saying, that what I sold myself from the beginning was a bad thing. Am I saying that, it wasn't at all what I thought it was when I got there? Fuck yeah. That's exactly what the fuck I'm saying. Joey here is saying, I thought I'd be free at a certain number a month. I realized that dollar number doesn't matter. Now I'm at a point where it's just about the process and discipline. If that discipline and process is achieved, that better than any number shows up on the P&L. Exactly. Because at that point, you're feeding your soul. For me, I'm good where I'm at. I'm finally good where I don't want fucking crazy ass supply. I don't need any of that shit anymore because it was all something I sold myself. I thought that once I had a couple $1,000,000, all my problems were done and I wouldn't have to do anything. I wouldn't have to do anything, right? Nobody would come at me with nothing. And it turns out it was wrong everything. There wasn't even anything true about that, but that's what I believed at the time. You remember that scene in Blow where Johnny Depp and Homeboy are sitting in the bunk in prison? He was like, yet you failed. And he was like, what are you talking about? You had the wrong dream. What do you know about cocaine?
There's always another drug. There's
always some other shit. Okay, what else you guys got? What else are you selling yourself? What are you telling yourself is the reason that you guys are trading? I'd love to hear this, and I love to pick through some of these things because we're all crazy, man. We're all crazy. We all think about this wild shit in the future that we're going to have a need for, right? I mean, coronavirus happens. Now everybody is like, dude, we got to trade. We got to make this passive income because the next one that happens, that's it. We're asked out. And if we don't have fucking money, well, that's it. That's it. Our lives are fucking over, man. We don't want to be one of those people, right? So let's get to fucking trading. Let's get out of here and fucking trade. The future and our ideas of the future, it affects how we believe now. And if what Charlie is saying is if it affects you in a negative way, if it makes you make poor decisions in the heat of the moment where you can't control your emotions, that's where it becomes a fucking problem.
Right.
We're not saying what you want. We're not saying what you want is a problem. I wanted what I want, and I found out it wasn't what I fucking wanted, or I found out it wasn't what I thought it was. Everybody has to go through that process. You guys have your own shit. You're gonna go through your own life trajectory. That is what it is. Life is gonna send you the lessons that it sent me, and you're gonna deal with it. But if it's making you make poor decisions in the heat of the moment in the market, guess what? You ain't gonna achieve those motherfucking goals anyway here. You're not even gonna get close to those goals here anyway. So right. we're asking you to think about the why. Think about the fucking why. Why is it that you're doing this?
And ask yourself why multiple times, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm probably butchering your name. EIN. You just said, I want to trade so I can work for myself. That's awesome. Nobody wants to go work. Everyone wants to control their own schedules. No one wants to go work for an asshole boss. I get that. That's great. But just ask yourself the question, now why? What would that mean for me to be able to work for myself?
Right.
Is this am I interested in how other people would think about me, would perceive me? Is it about me being able to put more time into something else, which would give me self-esteem in a different way? Ask yourself why multiple times. What Joey said, I want to go back to, because he's talking about the game that he's playing is basically about self-actualization. And in terms of, I think that is one of the healthiest sort of games that you can engage in, where you can create a feedback loop of trading, feeding your life, and vice versa, right? And that's where everybody wants to be. You're improving in your life and how you feel, and that's improving your trading. For he was saying it's all about process and discipline, and that feeds his soul. The more that he can sort of adhere to his process, hone himself mentally, it's way better than the P&L. I mean, that's a difficult place to get to, but I can also say that a lot of the best traders that I've seen, that we know out there, that's the headspace that they're in. They're just like, the numbers don't even matter as much anymore. And there's times when Luch, when you and I talk and you're like, this is a game for me now. These are just like numbers. And this is just kind of a barometer of where I'm at. And sometimes for you, it's just making the smartest move, meaning walk away. You're like, I don't need to trade for 2 weeks. And that's the best trading decision I can make right now.
Yep. The money's always there. The money's always there. But these realizations will only come to you once you've done the work on the why, once you've done the work on the awareness, once you've done all that work. They're not going to come to you in the heat of the moment where you're trying to solve your problems through the market. These answers are not going to come to you. They only come from the reflection of who you are. What are you actually looking for? There's some hilarious going on here. I love some of this stuff. Shravan is saying I should clarify. I want to help my family to do things that aren't possible. So they see me in a way where it looks like I walk on water, and that's fucking okay. That's really what it is about. You know what I mean? That's really what it is about. I wanted to shove it down my father's fucking throat, man. This is what I did. Yes, I did all this shit for you, man. Give me some fucking respect. I got no respect, and I felt like an even bigger piece of shit. So then what? So now what?
It's all, yeah, all the thing that you always think you're going to get, it usually isn't there, right? Usually it usually doesn't happen, but that is genius, the way that you just described that, Traven.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, so often it's like we're either proving something to one of our parents or we're trying to save one of our parents, right? And almost neither of those things ever work, basically, ever. So ask yourself these questions, guys. We've got a couple more minutes. We'll take some more questions. I think there's some in the Q&A chat. But we'll do another plug for the master course. Again, it starts on May 4th. You're learning directly from Lucci, tape, options, trading psychology. I get in there a little bit with Chris Cady, who is a master of the mind when it comes to trading and psychology. We go deep in trading psychology. You learn from Ron Friedman, his strategy around trading the post, as well as he's teaching some classes on tape and options. He's an absolute beast of a trader. You learn from Wall Street Jesus. So this is the one-stop shop. If you want to learn to trade, if you want to do this independently, on a professional level for a long period, this is where you go. And this is why we created this course. We have $500 discount up until May 4th. Go check out sanglucci.com/MC, and it will take you there. Email me, charlie@sanglucci.com, if you have questions. And let's get into
we're going to do that live tape reading, right, Charlie?
Oh, yeah, next week. Sorry. Jesus, I almost forgot. Next week, Lucci is going to do a live tape reading session, which give you a taste of what you get when you take the master course.
You guys are lucky. You guys are lucky that we're even doing this in the first place.
Let's just say this took a little convincing on my end to get Lucci to actually do this shit. But we're giving you a taste of what it's in the master course. You get live tape reading sessions with Lucci, right? Where he's doing them off the open. Now next week we're going to be doing it midday. It's going to be a little more quiet. We're not trying to have Lucci lose money on this webinar. But check out your email, Twitter, and stuff like that. That'll be public. That'll be a pretty cool opportunity for you guys to see what he does live. All right, let's take some questions. Yasar, is the course more for scalping and day trading? It can be you. We have traders from all types, man. People scalp, people day trade, people swing trade. Ranchero's strategy especially is looking at longer term time horizons, and then scalping or day trading around that. So you can use it in many different ways. Certainly not one style. I've been learning for a few months. I'm trying to put it all together because I don't seem to have a direction. Controlling your emotions is difficult. Yes, it is. Start with those questions that we put in there. Start with those trading journal prompts. Start writing. Start bringing that stuff out of your subconscious into your conscious mind. That's a very good way to go.
Yeah, as much as you worked. Oh, did you delete that question? Oh, you put it in answered.
Yeah, I put it in answered.
Okay.
Yeah.
All of the rest of you guys that have questions and we haven't answered them, and you really want them answered, just pop in the Q&A. There's a little Q&A thing where you can pop them in there, not the chat, but the Q&A. So to this guy who's saying, I've been learning for a few months and trying to put it all together, don't seem to have a direction. I mean, number one, you're in there for a few months. You don't know what strategy you want to trade. You probably don't have the confidence yet. There's a whole lot of things, that could be swaying your emotions at the current moment. Listen, any fucking badass trader that me and Charlie know that you guys would never hear from, ever. They would never be on a webinar here doing this shit. They would never be on freaking Twitter. They would never be on anywhere. And these guys are worth 40, 50, $100 million, man. They're just chilling. They're just chilling somewhere in Puerto Rico, paying no taxes. And I meet them on the fucking beach tennis court. You know what I mean? These people, they've put in more work than you can imagine. You up in there for 3 months looking for just shut up and keep working, man. All right, that's the answer for you. Shut up and keep working.
Which trading psychology books do you recommend? Mark Douglas, Trading in the Zone, is always the first one that we throw out there. Luch, any other ones that pop out?
Man, there's a lot, man. I mean, I would even put Reminiscence up there because that's as much as a
Yeah.
psychology book than anything. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Reminiscence of a
would,
stock operator.
yeah, I would put that up there. I would even put Charlie. We don't have maybe at our disposal, but some of those books on decision making, and some of those books by Daniel Pink, the guy that you went to, the guy that was teaching at your school, Duke, Ariel.
Yeah, Dan
I would even
Ariely.
throw some of those books in there. I would even throw some of those in there.
Yeah, I mean, anything when you start getting into, irrationality,
Kahneman.
rational,
Kahneman, John O'Shea, Kahneman. He's a great one too. He's a great one too. Daniel Kahneman, he's a great one too, man. His shit is tough to read though, man. His shit is tough to read. I would go with Daniel Ariely or some stuff like that first, because that shit's not going to be trading related, but you'll see immediately how it relates to, everything trading wise. We don't really recommend trading books on how to trade per se, because that shit's a dime a dozen, man. I mean, you can go on Google right now and find 80 of them. You could even find a damn white paper that you don't even have to pay for. That's another reason, like our class, the way that we teach, none of this shit you can find on the web. None of this shit is going to be stuff that you can find on the web. No, not a single person out there has a book on fucking tape reading, except one from the 70s or the 60s, some Russian guy in the fucking 60s or the 70s. You know what I mean? Not a single fucking person out there has a book on this shit. Why? I don't even know if you can write the damn thing. You just gotta feel it. You gotta watch it. Remember the times from the friggin' 50s and the 40s when it was just a machine that was printing out on a piece of fucking paper the prices and the quotes of the stocks that you wanted to trade. And people would just sit there and read tape. That's where the shit came from. That's what they were fucking doing. And off the basis of that guy Jesse Livermore, the Reminiscence guy or whatever, he could tell if there was more demand, more supply, and price would go up, right? You go to the pits out there back in the 40s or the 50s, in New York and Chicago, you would show up to these places and you would watch all these other brokers. You would watch how they're sitting there messing around. What are they doing? What are they buying? What are they selling? And you try to see who's trying to corner the market, who has supply, who has demand. It was a psychological thing. You'd look in the fucking face of that person when you were in the pit. You would look at their emotions, and then you'd figure it out for yourself. That is fucking tape, man. That shit is tape. All we're talking about is a derivation of it, and it's electronic now. That's what we're talking about. Nobody has a book on this shit. Nobody's out here teaching this shit. We teach you stuff that you're not going to sit there and find on the fucking web. If we did, I wouldn't be selling this shit. I wouldn't even want to, because I'd just say, dude, go find it on the fucking web, man.
Right. You can't really build a business around that these days. Do we get access to course content if we purchase today? Yeah, you do. You get access to all the previously recorded sessions of the master course, or the one that Lucci taught starting in December, the one prior to that, you get access to all that stuff. You get introduction to options, Wise Guys Revealed. You can get access to all that, and you get, this is something I think I forgot to mention, future lifetime access, right? So you can come back to as many live sessions, future sessions of the course as you want. We have people from years ago who still show up every once in a while for a new course, because Lucci's always teaching something differently. He's always picking something up. He's always talking about, the current market environment, how to retape in this, in this new regime. So you can keep
That's another reason. That's another reason why you never see folks that trade for longer than 5 years or 10 years. They don't adapt. Every market is different. Every market is different. The trade that you made yesterday is fucking mutually exclusive from the one that you make today. There's different dynamics going on. There's different shit that's going on. There's different programs. There's different algos that are moving the market. There's different things that are moving the market. If you can't adapt, if you can't change, you might be a hot shot for a year, but I will bet all the time, man. You take me any hot shot for the year that has a strategy that works, that strategy is going to die, and he's going to fucking die with it.
Yep. All right, let's do one more. Suggestions on how to overcome the emotions. Let's just stick with one part of this, because we can't do too much, but the emotions of sizing up. Luch, any suggestions?
Yeah, man, I answered this question in the chat room today, actually, and this is a big issue for everybody. Emotions on sizing up. I think Charlie's actually a better person to answer this one, but you know, basically, like your body and your mind is not used to it gets used to things, right? So let's say you trade 10 lots. Let's say you trade 10 lots or 20 lots or whatever the hell it is, right? You're gonna get comfortable, right? Your body, your mind, everything is used to what it looks like, or what a loss looks like on a 10 lot, what a loss looks like, or what a win looks like on a fucking 10 lot. As soon as you go to 20 or 30, your body ain't ready for that shit. Of course your emotions are gonna go fucking haywire. Of course they are. And of course it's going to be it's going to be back where you were starting with the damn 10 lot. You're going to feel like you're back right there doing the whole thing again. But your problem is you think you've achieved this other level. You don't want to do that work anymore. It's the same fucking work. It's the same work over and over and over and over. You have to get your body, your mind accustomed, adjusted to the new level of risk that you're making it take. You know what I'm saying? It's not just something that, boom, I trade 20 lots and there's some magic fucking formula here where, you know, the shit's okay. Of course those emotions are going to come back. You know what the crazy thing is? I trade way more size when I'm down. If I'm negative, I trade way more size, just biologically. I don't know why I'm able to pull out fucking 900 lots where I wouldn't even dream of putting a 900 lot on. You know, it's like 200, 300 max. Oh, I'm down 200? Oh, 900. Here we go, baby. Here we go. Here we go. Spin that motherfucking wheel. Why? It's biologically, I'm just wired this way. You are all wired this way because we want to get it back, right? We want to get it back. We don't want to admit to ourselves we took this fucking loss, whatever the hell it is, right? So that's a me thing. You know what I mean? Maybe it's you guys as well, but that's something that I got to figure out. How do I take the same amount of size on something that I feel fucking good about instead of taking the same amount of size when I'm trying to make back a stupid ass loss? Dumb shit. Emotional, of course, because your body's not ready for the 900 lot. You wouldn't even dream of taking a 900 lot. All of a sudden, you're in a 900 lot. Of course, you got emotions. You got to do the work again and again and again and again and again. So stop fucking looking for these, you know, these little golden nuggets. Oh, you want to size up? Are you ready to work? No, then get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I'm actually talking to two of the people that I'm coaching right now about this, about sizing up. And I mean, Chris Cady put this really well the other day, and he was talking about, you know, you want to develop the ego strength to click the mouse, right? You want consistent wins over and over, and people I think often size up at the wrong time because their win-loss ratio is not really where it needs to be before they start, you know, increasing their risk. So you want to be trading consistently at small size. You want to have a high degree of confidence that your process is working for you, right? When you get to that point, and when you start, and this is key, when you start to feel a little bit bored, that is an indicator for you that you want to start sizing up a little bit. But you actually want to get to the point where you're winning and you're a little bit bored, right? That is a very good place to be in, where you're like, all right, I'm going to increase my size a little bit. Do it incrementally. Don't double your size right away. You know, do it incrementally in lockstep. I mean, the way that the brain works is essentially, you know, your maximum capacity to learn is when you are right in the strike zone between a little bit uncomfortable. It's challenging enough that your mind is engaged and you're like, this is something new, but you're not to the point where you're overwhelmed or afraid, right? So if you start doubling your size right away, you're going to push your brain to the point where you're actually not functioning optimally cognitively, right? So do it incrementally. Keep yourself in that zone of, this is kind of crazy. I feel it in my body, but you know, I'm in control, and you know, I'm within myself. If it's pushing you outside of yourself, dial it back.
Like I said, Charlie would have the better answer for you guys. You know what I mean? I'm the rough trader. You know, this is what you're going to get in the class, though. You're going to get the rough trader love, shut the fuck up love, and then you're going to get the science behind what's actually happening, you know, in your brain. This is what Charlie does, man. This is why we vibe so much, and it's what you get in the course.
Yep. Yeah, multiple perspectives bringing into the course, right? It's, you know, obviously it's Lucci is the foundation of it, but everybody learns differently. Everybody takes something different from any one of the people that we have in the course. So, all right, guys, we've taken up a lot of your time. We appreciate you being here. Hit me up, charlie@lucci.com if you have questions on the master course. Spencer, I will get you sorted out. And keep your eye on your email and our social for the live tape reading session next week.
Later.
Good. See you guys.